In fact, it's funny. I can't tell you how many initial consults we've had of people who come in and they want to be part of some network marketing program or something else, right? Something that they signed up for and they want to go sell. And we'll say, well, what do you know about network marketing? Like, nothing. What do you know about the product? Well, nothing. What do you know about generating leads for a network marketing company? They're like, nothing. Like, all right, well, what are you actually good at? And they're like, well, I'm a nurse. Like, okay, you're a nurse. Like, well, do you specialize in anything? Yeah, I specialize in this. How about, and we start digging deeper, and pretty soon we find out they're like the world's #1 expert on curing kids from whatever, right? But for them, it comes so second nature, they don't even know the value of what they have. And so one of the biggest things you guys are going to struggle with is figure out, like, what is your superpower? What's that thing that comes second nature to you that you probably take for granted right now? Like, you don't even think it's that important. But if you really step back at it and you look at it, like, people in the world, it's a superpower for them, right? Okay, for you. And if they could have that information, have the assets and the tools you have, it could change their life. Okay, think about, like, for those of you guys who aren't techie and you've got that techie friend and he comes over and you've been spending 6 months trying to get your computer to work. He comes in and 3 seconds later it works. For him, it's second nature, but for you, you're willing to spend any amount of money to get that problem to disappear for you, right? And so you got to figure that out. That's the first thing, is what is that comes second nature to you that's your superpower? I told my kids that a little while ago. I said, all of you guys have a superpower. I said, what do you guys think it is? And they're thinking, and Dallin, one of my twins, he said, I think my superpower is eating. I'm like, all right, that works. And then I said, well, what else? And then, well, I think Ellie's superpower is this. And I remember that he said Aiden, who's the little 4-year-old, he's like, I think Aiden's superpower is hurting people, which made me kind of laugh. But everyone's got a superpower, you guys. You got to figure out what that is for you, because that's where your expertise is going to be in. And one way I kind of think about it, and I try to find it in people, is like, if you're just on a computer all day long and you got nothing else to do and you're bored, like, where are you spending your time? Where on Facebook? What groups are you part of? Where are you chatting? What things do you debate when you are just doing it for fun? Okay, and typically that's where your superpower is going to lie. All right. Okay, second step here is you've got to certify yourself. Okay, I can't tell you how many people are so scared of, or they're waiting for permission, right? Waiting for permission to go and sell something. I remember when we were working with Tony Robbins a while ago, and we were talking about this concept about certification, and he was telling me about how, like, when he first started learning NLP, he signed up for like this 6-month-long certification program, right? And so he started going to this thing, and after like 2 or 3 days, he learned all this really good stuff that could help people. And he's like, let's go help people, let's go fix them. And they're like, you can't, you're not certified. He's like, I don't care if I'm certified. I know how to do it. Like, let's go help people. And they're like, no, you can't. And so he got frustrated, and I can't remember exactly the story, but he walked out the door wherever the classes were at. He walked across the street to like 7-Eleven, and he started grabbing people and started like fixing them and using the stuff that he learned and having a huge, profound impact on these people's lives and changing them, because he had a tool and he went and used it. And he didn't wait for the certification. In fact, I believe he ended up getting kicked out of the program because he was using the tools without being certified. And our world is so screwed up. We want to wait for people to get certification. We rely so heavily on certifications, where the only thing that really matters in this world is results. Okay, and if I can get you a result, that's all that really matters. And so don't say, well, I can't teach this because I'm not certified, or I can't whatever. That's not a good excuse. You just got to go and do it. Okay, that's really the key here. And so certify yourself. Okay, and if you're scared about that, then email me and I'll just certify you. Congratulations, you're certified by Russell as a master cool guy. Whatever you want to be, let me know. I will certify you, and boom, now you're certified. That's what you need, that permission. Let me know and I will give it to you. All right. Next is what's your message? Okay? Like, what is it that really inspires you? What is it that fires you up? What is it you want to share with people that's like, this is what I want to share with the world. If I can just show everybody this, I know it's gonna change their lives. Okay? And we're going to dig deeper into this here in the next section. We kind of start breaking out your system. But you got to think about, like, what's your message to the world? Okay? My message through Expert Secrets is that you can take your advice and you can turn that into a full-time income. Okay? That's my message with Expert Secrets. With .com Secrets, my other company, I've got different messages. With my supplement, we've got different messages. But we always have some kind of message we're trying to share with the world. Okay? What is it, your message? Okay, and then for those of you guys who are saying, but, and we always get this on the live call, so I know that's kind of what some of you guys are thinking about. I want to share with you guys a story about Frank Abagnale. I can't even say it right. Who here knows who he is? I bet some of you guys are probably Googling him right now. If you know who he is, go in the question box and let me know who it is. And while I just looked at the question box. Liz just messaged me. She said, another 997 cell just came in. I'm laughing my A off over here. She probably didn't want me to say the whole thing, but congratulations, Liz. She's made $1,000 while she was hanging out here on the webinar. Who here would like to do that as well? Okay. All right. So who is Frank Abagnale? Who knows? Yes. Catch Me If You Can. I got 4 or 5 yes saying Catch Me If You Can. Yes. He's the guy from the movie Catch Me If You Can. Leonardo DiCaprio played his character. And Catch Me If You Can was actually a book before it was a movie. And in the movie, it doesn't share this story, but in the book, it does, and it's really fascinating. So when he was going on, he was doing all this con stuff, he actually attended a semester at BYU, Brigham Young University in Provo, Utah. And while he was there, he went to class one day. I think it was a sociology class or something, and he got there, and no teacher showed up. So he grabbed the textbook, walked to the front of class, and started teaching sociology to this entire college-level group, and he taught the entire semester as his teacher. Okay, and they asked him later, they said, how in the world did you teach an upper-level sociology class at Brigham Young University, a very top-level university? How were you able to teach that? How do you know what to say to these guys? And what Frank said was really, really interesting, and it's the key to this whole thing, you guys. Frank said, all I had to do was read one chapter ahead. If he stayed one chapter ahead of his students, he was able to teach them and to answer the questions they wanted. Okay, so we've got one of our guys who joined our 25K group, and he's an amazing person. He's got some amazing skills, okay? Tons of stuff comes second nature to him, and he struggles because every time I talk to him, I'm like, let's sell it. Let's get your information out there, and let's change the world right now. Let's don't wait. And he's like, no, I'm working on a certification program first, and then I got to do this first, and I don't know enough yet, so I got to figure. And he wants to just keep acquiring information, and the problem is by acquiring information, you're not serving people. You're not changing their lives. You're not changing your own life. Okay, the only way you do that is by exercising and giving and sharing what you've got. And so while it's in a dream perfect world, we should wait till we know everything before we start teaching it. You cannot do that. You just got to be one chapter ahead of your students. Okay, when I started teaching internet marketing 10 years ago, okay, at the time, just to put it in perspective, I wasn't making a lot of money. I think I made about $50,000 or $60,000 that first year, selling some software and things like that. And people started asking me what I was doing. And I'm like, well, this is what I'm doing. And I started sharing it. And they had success just copying what I was doing. And then more people did. And then I started growing. And if I would have waited until I knew everything about internet marketing, guess when I would have started? I probably still wouldn't have started. I'm still learning stuff, you guys. It changes every single day. It's this fun, exciting thing. But if I would have waited until I knew everything, it never would have happened. Okay? Take a lesson from Frank. You've got to just stay one chapter ahead. Okay? And maybe you're not the smartest guy in the world at your topic. Okay? Maybe there's a ton of people who know more about whatever your topic is. It doesn't matter. You're not selling to other experts. Who are you selling to? You're selling to somebody who's one chapter behind you. Someone who wants the result that you've already achieved, that you've already figured out a way, you've already blazed a trail to get, and they're just looking for the next answer. Okay? And that's where you come in. That's really how you become an expert. Okay? All right. Okay. Actually, before we go there, so before we go there, I just want to share some examples. I pulled a bunch of websites ahead of time because a lot of times when we think about experts, who do we think about? We think about someone like Tony Robbins, who, by the way, is probably the coolest person I've ever met in my entire life, outside of my wife and a couple other cool people I like. But Tony is amazing. And so a lot of times when we think about experts, we look at Tony, we're like, man, that guy's awesome. I'm never going to be Tony Robbins. And guess what, you guys? You will never be Tony Robbins. I promise you that. You just got to be all right with that, though. Okay? There are a lot of experts that aren't Tony Robbins. You don't have to be at his level to be able to be an expert. You just got to be at your level. So I want to share with you guys some more stories. And I was trying to get all these guys to show up on the webinar. I wasn't able to, unfortunately, but they're really close friends and have some amazing stories. So this is a guy. His name is Jacob Hiller. And Jacob is, he's one of the coolest people I've ever met. And this is his story. So he, I can't remember the entire thing, but like one time I was hanging out with him and we measured our arms, and my arm's wingspan is actually as longer than his, but he can dunk. And so when he was younger, he just wasn't able to dunk, and so he wanted to learn how to jump higher. And so he spent like years just practicing jumping. Okay, figure out different exercises and things he could do to increase his vertical, and he did it over and over and over again until he got to the point where he could start dunking. And the guy's got hops now. I don't know if you see that video on the right hand side here. I don't know if that's him or not, but he can jump like crazy. Oh yeah, check it out. He's hitting his head on a basketball hoop here in this picture. So this guy can jump like nobody else's business, right? And he's just so passionate about this topic that he started making YouTube videos and just posting them on YouTube, showing people exercises and things he was doing and showing pictures of him jumping all over the place. And guess what happened? The same thing that will always happen when you start sharing your expertise and you start putting it out there in the world. People will start seeing what you're doing and they're going to start following you. Okay? I think it was Jay Abraham. He said that people are silently begging to be led. And it's true. And so if you will become that expert and become that person and just put out your information, at first it's going to be kind of slow. It takes a little while to get some traction. That's why Liz took her a little while to get some traction. With Jacob, it's the same thing. He started posting these videos and soon he had 10 videos on YouTube and then 20 and then 30 of him just sharing this stuff. But because he was putting his passion out there, people started finding it and they would share it with their friends. And just because of him being who he was and sharing his personality, his following started to grow. And soon he had 1,000 people on YouTube following him, then 10,000. It started growing from there. And somewhere along the line, he said, man, I got an audience. I got some people who were listening to what I'm saying. I wonder if I should sell these guys something. And so that's when the Jump Manual was born. And he went and he created an entire book called the Jump Manual, teaching people how to jump higher. Okay? You may think like, how big is the jumping market? I have no idea. I'm not in that market, but for $67, he sells an ebook teaching people how to jump higher. Now, people always ask me like, well, is he doing good? There's like probably 5 people in the world that want to learn how to jump. Like, it can't be that big of a market, right? So I want to tell you the other cool story about Jacob. So his wife and him, when they got married, they always wanted to travel, and they were trying to figure out different ways to do that. And so when they launched this business, again, at first it started kind of slow, but it started growing. And last numbers I saw of his, which were probably 2 years ago, they were averaging over $1,000 a day, just selling this ebook. And what was cool is he had to do the hard work to get it going, like we talked about with Liz. But now that it's done, like he doesn't have to work on it. And so they decided, I think it's like 3, almost 4 years ago now, that they didn't want to live anywhere. They did not want to have a house. They just wanted to travel the world. So what they did is they got some big, huge suitcases and they opened up a map and they picked a country. Like, let's go to China. And they go to China, and for 3 months at a time, they'll live in a weird country and just make money online. He'll make videos of him in China jumping and showing some tricks. And they'll live there for 3 months. And then they say, where should we go next? Let's go to Kenya. And they'll pack up their suitcases. They go to Kenya. They land in Kenya. They spend 3 months there, and it makes videos of him jumping with the Masai Mara warriors and him doing stuff like that. And then 3 months later, like, where should we go now? Anyway, he's one of the most fascinating people in the world because every time I message him, I'm like, what country are you in? And he tells me these countries I've never even heard of. And this book, this thing he created once, literally is paid for this lifestyle where they don't have to do anything if they don't want to. Traffic comes in, people buy the product, and he's just being an expert teaching people how to jump higher. Okay? Jump higher, you guys. Do you think that you've got a skill that's at least as valuable as learning how to jump higher? Okay? A lot of times we get caught up because we think about, how many people are going to buy my jumping book? Well, maybe in your hometown, maybe only 2 or 3. But if 2 or 3 people bought it in every city around the country and around the world, that can be $1 million business very, very quickly. Okay? It's pretty exciting, don't you guys think? All right. So there's the Jump Manual. Here's my other buddies. This guy's named Jermaine Griggs, and Jermaine actually had a chance to meet the president today. He got pictures with him and everything. That's why he was going to be on here as well. He's like, man, any other day I'd do it. He's like, I'm meeting the president today. I'm like, you know what? That's the only excuse that I'll accept. If it was anybody else besides the president, I'd make you be here. But so Jermaine's story is amazing. When he was a young kid, he started learning how to play piano by ear, and he found out that it was way easier than learning sheet music and stuff like that. And so he put together some DVDs teaching people how to play piano by ear, and he put it out there. And right now he makes millions and millions and millions of dollars every single year teaching people how to play piano by ear. Isn't that exciting, you guys? And that's what he's passionate about. That's what he's an expert in. In fact, one time it was cool. I went to Jermaine's house. This is one of the coolest experiences of my life, actually. It was neat. Went to his house, and I was kind of teasing him. I'm like, so can you play anything by ear? He's like, yeah, man, anything. I'm like, all right, I want to prove this. So he's like, yeah, man. He's like, you can prove it. So he's like, go to the radio and pick any song you want. So I went to the radio and I was flipping through the different stations, and finally I found like one song. It's kind of a popular song, so I would remember it. And he listened to it, and he kind of sat there and he listened for maybe 30 seconds to a minute. And he said, okay, turn the radio off. And he got out his big, huge keyboard, and he walked over, and he started like just hunting and pecking, right? Pushing different buttons, and he was doing stuff. And I didn't know what he was doing at the time, But what I found out afterwards is he was recording each of the tracks that he just heard. So he recorded the drum track on his keyboard, then he recorded the bass guitar, and then the guitar, and then everything. And he recorded all. He just pecked out all the different lines till it was perfect. And then he said, "Okay, ready, go." And he pushed play on his keyboard. It started playing all those 4 or 5 bass lines, and then boom, he started playing the song on the piano, and it was the most amazing thing I had ever seen in the world. And that's Jermaine's expertise. That's what he's amazing at, and he's made insane amounts of money. I don't know what he makes a year. The last time I saw his numbers were probably 4 or 5 years ago, and he was doing over $3 million a year back then. I'm sure it's exponentially more than that right now. And he's teaching people how to play piano by ear, you guys. Again, what is your expertise? Okay. All right, a couple of guys. I talked about wrapping a business. Okay, Neil Patel is a software guy, right? He built a bunch of software products. Now he goes, and I'll show you some of his processes as well, but he blogs and does stuff and shares his expertise that brings people into his world and then gets them to buy his software. Okay, Dave Asprey, he is out there teaching people how to live a bulletproof life. And what's cool is his whole story, if you come out here, he talks about can you lose 100 pounds without exercise, upgrade your IQ by more than 12 points, and stay healthy by sleeping less than 5 hours. It took more than 15 years and $300,000 to learn how to reach that bulletproof state of high performance. It's all here on this blog for you. Okay, so he's teaching people how to live lifestyle at this huge higher level. He talks about how he was severely overweight and all these issues and how he changed everything. And because of that, he's become this amazing health guru. And then what he does is he recommends different products and he goes and creates some. And if you come over here to his site, some of you guys may have heard Bulletproof Coffee. This is one of his products, a bunch of other stuff. But he makes millions and millions of dollars selling his entire supplement line. He's got, I don't know, probably 30 or 40 different supplements now that he sells. And he does it 100% by being an expert. That's how he drives his traffic, how he makes his sales, how he's able to charge as much is because of his expertise. Okay, you guys getting this so far? Is this getting you fired up? I wanted to spend this first part of the presentation really selling you guys on this concept, because I can go and teach you guys all the stuff, but if you're not sold on the concept, you're not going to do it. Okay, because like Liz said, there's some work that's got to go into it. So I got to sell you guys on the concept of why you need to be an expert, why you need to share your message with the world. And hopefully I've gotten that through to you, I hope. Because now we're going to start diving a little bit deeper and actually start doing it. And but you've got to be sold first, otherwise you're not going to go in. So let me know, you guys, are you sold? Are you sold on becoming an expert, on stepping out of your comfort zone and actually sharing your message with the world, changing some people's lives and getting paid insanely well for doing it? If you are, come over to the chat and say, yes, Russell, I'm ready to be an expert. All right, you guys are getting this. Awesome, awesome. All right, Candace says, I already am an expert. Yes, you are. Good, good. All right. Okay, so let's dive deeper, guys. So the first thing the first question I like to ask is, who is it I want to serve? Okay. The funny thing about these whole businesses that we do online, or any kind of business for that matter, is that too often we think about like the money part of it, and we're like, how am I going to make money and how am I going to monetize and all these kind of things. And while those things are important, that's the secondary question. The first question is, who are you going to serve? You got to figure that out first. Okay, for a couple of reasons. First off, if you get this part wrong, you'll end up getting a bunch of customers that you cannot stand. I did this for about 3 or 4 years. I had the wrong customers, and I woke up one day in a state where I just was miserable. I didn't like the people I was working with. I didn't like who we were serving. And it's because I hadn't thought about it ahead of time. And you got to think about that first. Who is it you want to serve? Who are you passionate about helping and changing their lives? That's the first step. Okay, so who is it you guys want to serve? Who is it your message is going to resonate with the most and be able to impact and change? Okay, that's the first thing you got to ask yourself. And I always ask myself that first. Let me see. Sorry, it's popping off the PowerPoint sometimes. All right. Okay. Now after I kind of figure that, like, I know that I'm going to serve. My goal is to serve people who are overweight, or people who play tennis, or people who, whatever it is, the people you want to serve. And I would spend some time thinking about that a lot. Like, don't just answer it really quickly, but who is it that you really care about, that you really think that you can impact, that your message can help change? That's the first thing. Next, what I like to do, for me personally, this is the process I go through. Everyone's got a different process. For me, I start with an idea. I say, hey, I want to do this really cool thing. And then for me, I have to get a domain name before I'm able to move forward on that idea for whatever reason. I know it's kind of this weird, quirky thing, but I've got to get a domain name, okay? And so I'm going to show you guys that process. And then I'm going to show you a couple techie, nerdy things. Don't get overwhelmed by this. I promise you it will not make sense the first time, but I'm recording it to show you guys so that when you are doing this step of the process, you're able to go back to this video and just watch it and then copy what I'm doing. Okay, so that's kind of game plan. So this will overwhelm you. It won't make much sense yet, but just watch this video again when you're ready to do this part, and this is how it works. Okay, so you need to get a domain name. So there's a lot of ways to get a domain name. This is a really cool site that Daryl, who's on the training right now, showed me the other day. It's called Instant Domain Search, and it's really cool. So this is how you can kind of start. Is like, what are you gonna be? So you can type in like, let's say it's tennis, and it's gonna go try to find a bunch of tennis sites that are available.